of the 5th edition. Join our various gaming groups as we play the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. And maybe just hang out and chat about gaming in general. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and rpgpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, Jim here with Creative Flame Podcast with Kelly.
Hello.
And Scott.
Hi.
So we are here for some serious matters. The seriousness of what is your favorite weapon in the Dungeons and the Dragons. I can't help but calling it that.
It depends on the character class I'm playing. Because, if I've got a character that can't use a certain weapon, then it's certainly not going to be my favorite.
Hold on. Sorry.
See, obviously, an animal companion is the best weapon of them all.
Does that constitute a weapon?
Warhound! A warhound!
Dire corgi. And yes, when I get printing, I actually have a mini for a dire corgi as a mount.
Aww. When Tilda got her war dog mount, she was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
She named him Slobber the Mutt.
Someone's being super vicious today. As I'm being attacked again by the cat. He's like, I heard Kelly talking. I know she's talking to you.
It's an attack of opportunity.
Cheeky little kitty bastard. So are we ready?
Yep.
I think they stopped.
Okay.
I closed the door, so hopefully.
So go ahead and continue what you're saying, sweetie.
Well, what I was saying was that it all depends on the character class. Now, if I'm a bard, my favorite weapon is a rapier. Besides my loot. Would be the rapier, finesse, that type of thing. But if I'm playing, like a warrior, she's not going to want a rapier. She's going to want something with some heft to it, My sea elf, her favorite weapon is the trident. It's like it all depends on my character class. I pick them specifically for that, So, like my sister Solace, she has a mace that looks like the top part looks kind of like a sun because, her god, it's that's
if Kelly the player had to pick a favorite amongst all those weapons, what would you pick? See, I'll funnel it down for you.
Let's see. I don't know. I did take fencing in college, so maybe the rapier.
The rapier's a good one. It's good for dex or strength,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep. I am left-handed, so I had the advantage of being the only left-handed person in the class. So whenever somebody would spar against me, they'd be going, "What?"
Gonna be fine.
And since
with the
I was
MLB
sparring
Extra Innings
against
package,
entirely
all the-
right-handed people, I had the advantage. And they're like, she's on the wrong side. I'm like, no, I am not.
I don't know how to do it, this offhand maneuver she's using.
So that was, yeah. I did very well in that class.
See, in that case, I will have to agree with you that my favorite is also the rapier. Because not only is it a fairly cheap weapon, only 25 gold, does fairly good damage with the 1d8 piercing, but as a finesse, it lets you choose whether to use strength or dex when you attack with it.
True.
So it gives you that extra versatility. I mean, sure, a longsword gives you up to a d10 in damage if you do it as a two-hander, but how about you, Scott?
Well, I'll actually expand on Kelly's. I think that the weapon is not just a matter of class, but it's also about the personal style of the person within that class. I mean, D&D has lots of different weapons. And, I mean, even though there are 150 classes now, there's still room for individualization within those classes on what type of weapon, each player should have. Now, going back to your actual question, me as a player, what weapon would I pick? I think I would pick a falchion.
Ooh.
I just like the word falchion. People who don't play D&D don't know what a falchion is. I think it's one of the things that they just kind of like the word. I mean, even SCA people don't call them falchions. I think technically it's a type of, it's a one-handed sword. So it's probably almost a sickle or a saw or a sabre. Probably closer to a sabre than anything else.
But doesn't it have the wider end at the front?
Yeah.
Sort of kind of curved on the near the front, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. But again, I just kind of like it. It's something not a whole lot of people know about. It's basically the same as a longsword, but it has a little more panache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's got that little saber, that saber or that scimitar-ish flair.
Well, of course, it's French. Falchion.
And it definitely has good character because almost everyone out there has some kind of cool crossguard design.
Of course, I am going to do honorable mention. I love the bow, particularly because the range is just awesome. I actually did try to take archery in college, but they no longer offered it, so I had to. That's why I took fencing.
Because, of course, the bow is amazing with the reach out and touch somebody.
Exactly. I mean, that range is just awesome.
And let's be honest, your average bow is way better than your wizard casting an explodey spell because it's quiet.
Yep. I actually had a ranger who's a half-elf ranger whose name was Thwack. Because that's the sound the arrow makes. It's funny because the full character's name was Thwack Tittlebaum, but because I thought it was funny. But yeah, it's like Thwack. It was a good name.
Mm-hmm. And then he just needs a friend named Strum. Strum and thwack. So did you have any honorable mentions there, Scott?
Yeah, my honorable mention would be something that practically nobody uses, but it's just the lance.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of, a traditional big weapon. You need a horse to use it properly. It's the symbol of knighthood. It just kind of, how many fantasy pictures do you have of, the warrior with his lance?
Mm-hmm.
The knight in shining armor.
The knight in shining armor.
Yeah, that's definitely one that's like even Dragonlance. I mean, come on, it's in the name.
Yeah.
It is nice to see the lance, but I will be honest, as a GM, it's horrifying when you use bad guys with lances because it's very bad for the players because it's just like mounted knights in the Dark Ages with the footmen being massacred unless they play really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and of course, the reason why you don't see it very often.
Well,
nobody can afford a horse.
Not only that, but it's really hard for the rest of the party. I mean, unless the entire party is mounted, having just one mounted guy really just doesn't work. I mean, the whole medieval concept of horses was cavalry. It's like tanks. You need kind of a whole bunch of them together.
You line up your lances and you just mow the battlefield.
Exactly.
Or if they rout the enemies, you go chase them down, guys, and come back. Because you won't be tired after chasing them. That's where you need to get that all paladin group with your all magic paladin mounts.
Yeah, and see, I would love to see a halfling on a halfling paladin on a war dog. I think that would just be so freaking cute.
Well, you could also do rangers, druids, and clerics in that group.
Yeah. I mean, technically, mounted combat is something that any class can do in D&D. It's just I know paladins, because they get their magical steeds, will totally be using their horses, whereas a lot of the other races would be like, buy a horse for that price? All the GM's going to do is kill it. I mean...
Yeah, that's true. Look at what happened to poor Bertram.
Yes, GMs out there, your friends' mounts are fair game when it comes to playing. Why? Because every army through history went after the horses.
Would you kill, like, a mage's companion or a druid's companion?
In a second. As this druid comes out on the King of the Forest stag's back, and you're just like, oh, hell no. I ain't gonna outrun this. And then you kill the stag, and she jumps off and turns into an owlbear. Wait, that's the D&D commercial. Yes, by the way.
Bambi, you bastard!
I didn't kill Bambi, I killed his father. It's not better that way. But,
not an improvement!
And of course, I'll throw out for my honorable mention the light crossbow. Because for those of us who can't use a bow effectively, that's the next best thing. Except
True.
You got to get that feat that lets you reload for free. So the bow guy who's going clink, 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 and you're having to waste your bonus action to reload, that part does suck, but that totally sounds like a crossbow. Because they're pricks to reload.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And of course, let's not forget the drow with their pistol crossbows. Dun dun dun. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it delivers a poison arrow real effectively.
Yeah.
And yes, players, never be afraid of using a poisoner's kit and poisoning your stuff. Everybody's weapon's effective when you poison it.
And we learned that, if your druid happens to turn into a giant spider with venom, you can get some poison pretty easily.
Yes, the group milked their druid's spider.
Yes, we did.
Often. You let your players do that one time, and then you get poison blades for everybody. The only thing you can hope on is someone rolls a 1 and they poison themselves. Because there's nothing worse than when you roll a 1 and you pull back your weapon and realize you scratched your arm, and you look at the green glint on the blade that shimmers, and you go, rut-row.
Rut-row.
Rut-row. So that will definitely cover our favorite weapons and a couple honorable mentions. Wow, I just thought of yesterday and today together. Poison caltrops.
Oh.
All you need is that 1 point of damage. Now we get a horrible D&D dungeon out of it. And of course, the bad guy has all mounted, beasts with lances.
Poor horsies.
Getting it. Well, I mean, the bad guy's coming after you. That's not poor horsies. Evil players.
Yeah. But it's not the horse's fault for being there.
Whatever you have to say, lawful paladin. Alrighty, guys, that's a good place to wrap it up there.
Thank you for listening to D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, a member of the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Please follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/CPPN to never miss a show or stream.